People may be trickling in later on, but let us get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to Stimson, and I hope everyone in this room enjoyed the 3-day weekend for those of us who live in the U.S. So as we all know, Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang is starting in about a few weeks. And after the Olympics in Pyeongchang, Tokyo will then be up next, hosting the Summer Olympics in the year 2020. As we all know, Olympics brings all of us great excitement, but also, together with that, it also brings tremendous concerns for national security. Because for the short period of time, for those cities and the countries that host this great event, they get an influx of a great number of athletes, coaches, their families, spectators, and tourists who tries to be in that country during the Olympic to feel the excitement. They all are coming in a very short period of time in such a concentrated manner. That triggers the concerns for a variety of the security risks. And that is why the host nation and cities that host these great events needs to be prepared for a wide range of disasters. And it just makes sense that the countries that has hosted a number of these big events, and the countries that have a rich experience in handling wide variety of disasters and hazards, both man-made and natural, to try to learn lessons learned from each other, and perhaps having a conversation about how they can cooperate to be more effectively prepared for those all kinds of what-ifs that can happen on such a great event. And that is the topic that we'll be spending the next 90 minutes exploring. Today's seminar consisted of 2 parts. First, we will hear from Honorable Masako Mori, the member of the House of Councilors in Japan, who actually just came from the Philippines this morning. And but the way that she's speaking, you can't really tell. She's really refreshed and energized. And then following her remarks, we will quickly transition into a panel discussion amongst Honorable Mori and Mr. Ellis Stanley and Honorable Craig Fugate, moderated by Dr. Maki Fukami from the Institute of International Institute for Global Resilience. So I'm sure you will have many questions after Mori-sensei's remarks, but I do ask that please hold those questions, as we will have times for question and answer toward the end of the panel discussion that follows. And before I introduce Mori-sensei, one administrative announcement. Many of you has a simultaneous translation equipment right at your hand. Those equipment are very expensive. We are renting them. We don't want to be penalized for any lost equipment. So after the event, please do return your headset to the designated area on the table on the right side of this room as you exit. So without further ado, let me quickly introduce Mori-sensei. Her entire more full bio is with you in the program that you will have, so I don't go into too much of a detail. But I would like to stress that she is, Mori-sensei is a lawyer by training, but being from Fukushima Prefecture herself, she has worked tirelessly for the reconstruction of the prefecture following the nuclear accident back in 2011 in March, at the time of the triple disaster that struck Japan. In her keynote, she will talk about the lesson that Japanese government has learned from this tragic accident, and also introduce to us the new initiatives that the Japanese government is contemplating that leverages the state-of-the-art technology to be more effectively respond to such accidents. So following the keynote from her, we will, like I said, transition into a panel discussion, but I will reintroduce the panel to you after her remarks. So without further ado, Mori-sensei.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Masako Mori. I'm honored to have this opportunity to speak to you today. I was born in and as a member of Japan's upper house, represent the constituency of Fukushima. As you know, it is the area severely affected by the earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear accident in 2011. I want to express a sincere appreciation for the support and help from the American people, including Operation Tomodachi. Fukushima has been making a steady comeback thanks to you. After that, Japan have had major earthquake in Kumamoto. We have come a long way with disaster preparedness and crisis management, but we need to go further. We need to change our approach from one of dealing with crises as they occur to one that mainstreams preparedness and makes it part of our daily lives. In this picture, I was cleaning up radioactive materials at the school ground in Fukushima. And I inspected at nuclear plant after the accident with protective clothing. After minister's term, I work on a number of major policy areas for the Liberal Democratic Party. First, I chair the Committee on Anti-Terrorism and Security. I prepared the G8 Summit Security and now prepare the Olympics in 2020. Second, I lead to the Environmental Committee. In this capacity, I work on policies that deal with cleanup efforts related to the nuclear accident in Fukushima. In 2015, the third UN World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in Sendai. Record number of people joined the Sendai conference to study from Tohoku disaster. それではここで原発サイトの動画をご覧いただこうと思います。
A severe accident occurred at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station on March 11, 2011. Thanks to the support of numerous partners, we have been making progress toward the completion of its decommissioning. We would like to show you what the power station looks like now, while looking back to the time of the accident. Units 1 through 3 were in operation at the time of the accident. They lost all power and the reactors could not be cooled. As a result, the fuel melted and a large amount of hydrogen gas was generated. This led to hydrogen explosions in Units 1, 3, as well as 4, which was connected to Unit 3. Currently, all units have been brought under control and are being stably cooled. This is the Unit 1 building at the time of the accident. At Unit 1, all panels of the cover over the reactor building, which were constructed to prevent the dispersion of radioactive materials, were removed in November 2016. Preparations for fuel removal are underway. At Unit 2, the impact of the hydrogen explosion forced the upper side panel of the reactor building to open, and as a result, the hydrogen was released outside. This panel is now closed to prevent the dispersal of radioactive materials. In addition, preparation for fuel removal is underway by dismantling the building top. At Unit 3, the largest piece of rubble in the spent fuel pool was removed for fuel removal. Now, preparation is underway for installation of the building cover and fuel handling machine. At Unit 4, all fuel was removed from the spent fuel pool. With completion, safety was ensured and potential risks were eliminated. At Units 1 through 3, investigations inside the PCVs are being conducted using robots for fuel debris removal, which will be an important process in the decommissioning work. The seaside area was affected the most by the tsunami and hydrogen explosions, and there was rubble scattered everywhere. For the decommissioning work, highly radioactive rubble was removed, and the radiation level was lowered as a result. The rubble is being gathered and stored on the premises. Most of the ground surfaces on the premises were paved. This paving prevents rainwater from penetrating into the ground, which helps to lower the radiation levels. Water treatment and storage measures are progressing. Treatment of highly contaminated water stored in tanks was carried out by multiple approaches to extract radioactive materials. With the exception of some residual water, it has been completed. In the tank area, bolted-type tanks were used at the time of the accident. Now they're being replaced by more reliable, welded-type tanks to prevent leakage. The bolted tanks are being dismantled one by one, and now welded-type tanks are being constructed. With the measures and efforts made so far, the work environment in the power station has significantly improved. At the time of the accident, workers had to wear protective clothing and full face masks in every area of the power station. Now, as you can see, the areas where work can be done in a regular uniform and a simple mask have been expanded. When workers need to work in high radiation areas around the reactor and turbine buildings, they first go to a separate changing room in their regular uniforms and then get changed into protective clothing. Measures for handling groundwater are also making progress. Construction of the seaside impermeable wall was completed to stop groundwater from flowing into the ocean. It was constructed by driving steel pipe sheet piles deep into the bedrock across a width of about 800 meters in the seaside areas of Units 1 through 4. With this, the port area environment has become much safer. In October 2016, freezing of the seaside part of the landside impermeable wall was completed. Areas around the reactor and turbine buildings are surrounded with this frozen soil wall, which prevents groundwater from flowing into those buildings. Currently, freezing of the land side has also started, and its impermeability will be continuously monitored. The work environment has significantly improved. A large rest house was constructed where workers can take a break and have meetings in an air-conditioned, comfortable environment. They can also eat hot meals, which are cooked at a meal center in the local town of Okuma using food grown and raised in Fukushima. A convenience store was also opened. In the entrance control building next to it, an emergency care facility is in place in case of accidents. The seismic isolation building, which was in a state of extreme confusion at the time of the accident, has become a place where workers can concentrate on their duties. A new administration building was constructed to replace the original building, which became unusable due to explosions. More than 1,000 employees are engaged in decommissioning work there. It also allows TEPCO's employees to be close to workers from partner companies in the adjacent office. This facilitates on-site communication. Decommissioning will proceed through closer cooperation. This is J Village, which was a frontline operation base at the time of the accident. Here, all the workers changed into protective clothing before going inside the site. Now its role is complete, and it will again become a national training center for soccer from 2018. We will continue to work safely and steadily on the decommissioning work, which is expected to take 30 or 40 years in collaboration with multiple domestic and international partners.
はい、いかがでしたか？私は今原発の最も近いところに住む国会議員なんです。それで最も頻繁に原発の中も、視察をしています。この地域選出の議員である私の責任だと考えています。廃炉作業の進捗状況、それから原子力防護の状況、課題を正確に把握して安全に廃炉を成功させるために常にリスクを軽減する努力が必要だと考えています。いろんな状況を比較し参考にするために世界中を回っておりまして、スリーマイル等の原発事故の後にも行きましたし、チェルノブイリは毎年行っています。昨年は IIGR にアレンジしてもらってハンフォードサイドも行きました。ハンフォードサイトでは昔の核兵器の製造による汚染物質が川に流れないようにガラス物質によって地中に壁を作っておりますけれども、この技術は一部福島の原発サイトでも活用されています。ただ今のビデオのように福島は、ガラスだけでなく凍土壁という、土を凍らせる技術を採用して氷の壁を地下に張り巡らせて、原発サイトを囲んでおります。実は今回の講演のために、日本を出発する直前に原発サイトにまた行ってまいりまして、最近の状況を見てきました。先週の金曜日です。明日、NRC 長官にもお会いしますけれども、NRC や DOE などのアメリカの機関が最もリスクが高いというふうに指摘をしていたのは、今のビデオの中に出てくる1、2、3、4の中の4号機なんですね。これについては使用済み燃料について無事取り出しが終了いたしました。現在は3号機の使用済み燃料の取り出しに向けて工事の足場を組み立てています。燃料デブリの取り出しに向けても数々のロボットが活躍をしておりまして、マンボウと呼ばれるロボットが水の中を泳いでいって、燃料と思われる写真を撮るのに成功したばかりです。今年は棒を突き刺すようなやり方で、さらにカメラを入れて写真を撮って分析をし、来年にはデブリの取り出しの方法を絞り込んでいく方向です。 世界で初めてとなるデブリの取り出し、これには世界中の英知を結集した最先端の技術が必要とされています。安倍総理は津波と原発事故の被害を最も被った福島県の沿岸部に多額の予算をかけて集中的に整備をし、新しい産業が生まれる地域にしていくという政策を打ち出しました。それがイノベーションコースト構想です。正式に法律にも位置づけまして、ナショナルプロジェクトになりました。今お話しした廃炉の技術、ロボット、人工知能、自動運転などに関する国際的な研究機関や国立の組織をいくつも作りまして、研究開発の拠点としています。また企業を誘致し、この地域に進出する企業には政府が手厚い補助金を出しています。多数の企業がこれにこうして進出し、土地が足りなくなって、いわき市では新たな工業団地を造成するほどになっています。いくつかの具体例をお見せしていきたいと思いますが、今、映っているのがですね、ロボットテストフィールドでございまして、イノベーションコーストの中の一つの政策でございますけれども、世界最大のロボットテストフィールドを今建築中でございます。その中の一部ですけれども、ドローンのテストフィールドがございまして、こちらに書いてありますように、世界初のドローンの自律飛行で 12km の世界最長の記録を飛行しまして、温かいスープを無事ターゲットのサーファーに届けたということです。つまり災害時には一部の地域に人々が孤立する、被害者が孤立するということが考えられます。洪水などによって寸断されることが考えられます。そういった被災者にですね、温かい食料や救助の道具を届けるということのために役立つと考えられています。また災害の訓練施設も作っておりまして、これはこちらのですね、先ほどのロボットテストフィールドの中の一部でございますが、この辺りにございますけれども、実際にですね、津波やダムの氾濫、河川の氾濫などをですね、人工的に起こしまして、単なるプールではなくて、強い力で流される、そして汚濁した見えない水面の下で、実際の自然災害と同じような状況を作り出して、消防士などによる被害者の捜索や救助の訓練を行うことができる施設を作ろうとしています。常にリスクはゼロではないということを認識して、リスクが少ない方を合理的に選択していくわけですが、その中でも実際あるリスクを減らしていくために防災をする。それでも万が一災害が起こったときに被害を最小化する。そしてその被害から迅速に立ち直る。それらの政策を打つために過去から学び、あらゆる事態を想定をして訓練をしていくための施設を作ろうとしています。原子力発電所に近い広野町という町では、子どもたちの危機管理能力の向上のために、あらゆる危機からの避難訓練の教育を始める予定です。また、国際廃炉研究センターがですね、イノベーションコスト構想の中に設けられておりまして、アメリカからも何人も研究者が訪れておりますけれども、燃料デブリがメルトスルーしたわけでございますが、原子炉の下突き破って下まで落ちていったわけでございますが、その落ちる状況をですね、リアルに再現をするために新しい機械を作ってですね、もう一回その燃料のメルトスルーの状況をですね、再現しようとしています。今までは万が一メルトする場合としてもですね、まず最初に燃料の制御棒が落ちて、それからその後燃料が落ちるというふうに机上の 研究で考えられていたんですが、実は福島ではそうではないということが分かっています。最初に制御棒が抜け落ちる時に、一番最初はストンと抜け落ちた。しかし、その次の制御棒はですね、周りにある燃料を巻き込みながら、一緒になってドロドロになって落ちていったということが考えられています。そういった状況をですね、もう一度再現をして、これからの廃炉作業の中のデブリの取り出しに役立てたり、それから今後のですね、原子力災害の防止に役立てたいとしています。IAEA はじめ各国の原子力機関がこれに連携をして協力をしています。また別の施設ですけれども、奈良派モックアップセンターというのがございまして、こちらでは実際に原子炉のですね、原寸大の同じ大きさの原子炉の模型を作りまして、そちらにですね、ロボットを投入して、廃炉作業を実験しています。なぜなら、もう今福島の事故が起きた原子炉には人間は近づけないわけですね。非常に放射線量が高いから人間が近づけない。そこでロボットを入れてその中を取ろうとしたりしているわけですが、何台もロボットが途中でですね、画像が切れてしまったり戻ってこなかったりしております。それなので原寸大に使った燃料の入ってない原子炉を作りまして、そちらにロボットを入れて、その時には人間ももちろん一緒に行けるわけですが、どんなふうに行くかということをですね、実験をするということをしています。またはですね、バーチャルリアリティのルームを作りまして、その中に入るとですね、ロボットが取ってきた壊れた原子炉の中に自分が入ったように見えるわけですが、そうやってそのロボットを投入する技術者のですね、訓練をするということもしています。先週の金曜日、実際私もそこに入ってまいりました。私たちは世界初めての複合災害にあったわけです。福島では津波、地震、原発事故がいっぺんに起きたという複合災害が起きました。死者と行方不明を合わせて1万8000人でございます。実際に助けを呼ぶ声を聞きながらも原発事故からその助けを呼んでいる人を置いて避難をしてこなければならなかったという人たちが何人もいるわけです。または行かないでくれという母親をですね、その場に母親が動けない状態ですから、それを残して自分だけ避難してこなければならなかった子供もいるわけです。または自分の子供の亡骸を遺体安置所に運ばなければいけない、そういう父親もいるわけです。そんな究極の悲しみを私たちは味わいました。でも私たちは前に進もうとしています。犠牲を無駄にしないためにも、この悲しみの地に新しいものを生み出すためのエネルギーが今燃えています。それは究極の悲しみ、究極の経験を乗り越えたものだからこそ湧いてくるエネルギーなんです。そして世界の他の地域には同じ悲しみや苦しみを二度と味わってほしくない。私たちの経験を教訓にして世界に伝えたいと考えております。Finally, I want to talk you that the citizens in Fukushima, including me, learned a great deal from the disaster. We learned that anything could happen. The unthinkable could happen. We learned that tomorrow can be completely different from today. We learned the door can be shut any time, and the future they envisioned would never come. But most important of all, however, we learned we could survive and overcome any disaster. Thank you very much.
Mori Sensei, thank you so much for this enlightening remarks and the lessons learned from what Japan is learning from Fukushima's disaster. We'll now transition very quickly into the panel discussion portion of this program. Discussion will be moderated by Dr. Maki Fukami, who sits closest to me. She is the founder, president, and CEO of the International Institute for International Global Resilience. Since she established this institution, she has led a very innovative program that tries to connect the emergency managers and first responders in Japan with their counterparts in the U.S. and across the globe. She has led the training program for Japan Coast Guard Academy and amongst other places. And she will be moderating the three-people panel. And you have already heard from Mori Sensei. Just for this purpose of this panel, I would be remiss if I don't add that she actually is the one of the first people who completed the who received the certificate after completing the executive training program that's been offered by International Association of Emergency Managers. And joining her is two gentlemen. Between two of them has, literally speaking, decades of experience, rich experience in responding to all kinds of national disasters, both preparing for such scenarios. Sitting next to Maki is the Honorable Craig Fugate. He is best known as the administrator of the Federal Emergency Management Agency between the 2009 through 2017. And who just retired from a female administrator's position at the change of the administration. And to the far right of the podium is Mr. Ellis Stanley. He also has a wealth of experience in being responsible for planning for the national event, including the Democratic and National Conventions and the Olympic Games in Atlanta. So without further ado, I'll hand over the moderator, Dr. Maki.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Yuki-san, and the Stimson Center for providing such a great opportunity. Originally, emergency management has been considered as a domestic issue, and it's not the international area except for the humanitarian assistance. However, even in a developed country, government fails when a large and complex disaster occurs. As Senator Mori quoted Japanese lessons from March 11, that's why it is getting more critical to prepare for the case government fails and to procure resources even from outside of country. Craig, would you share your thought regarding this concern?
Yeah, in the United States, we look at disasters as always a local response, going to the next level of government, going to the states, going to the federal government, and that through that response we can manage most of our disasters. Part of that is effective mutual aid between states. After Hurricane Andrew, it was found that there were quite a bit of resources that weren't effectively deployed, or there wasn't a lot of coordination. So the United States had developed the Emergency Management Assistance Compact, a mutual aid agreement between states. It doesn't require the federal government to intervene. It's done between the states. And it means that a lot of resources that are available at the local and state level are made available in national emergencies. This was effectively used this hurricane season in both Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, as well as Maria and the VI in Puerto Rico. However, we began looking at disasters in light of the experiences on 3/11 in Japan, that when would the United States run out of resources? And we began looking at natural hazards, one of which was the Cascadia subduction zone off the northwest coast of the U.S. To give you an example, while the movies like to make the San Andreas Fault our biggest earthquake risk, the largest potential impact earthquake for the United States is actually Cascadia. There's more energy, more potential there. And because it's a subduction zone, it would not only be an earthquake, it would also be a near-shore tsunami event. When you looked at that event and you build an exercise around it, it quickly became apparent we've run out of search and rescue teams. And we began looking at where we would get those teams and how we would get those teams. And I think one of the challenges for both Japan and the U.S. has almost all of our international response is based upon humanitarian aid models. And really what we see as a greater need internationally is for mutual aid models, where it is peer-to-peer support, not we're having to go in and support a country, manage a response. It is we need resources. We don't need the management, we need resources. And the United States was actually exercising with Cascadia with both New Zealand and Australia, urban search and rescue teams, how you'd actually request and deploy them to the United States, looking at a mutual aid model, not a humanitarian aid model. And I think the experiences of our planning, the experience of Japan, the experience of other G20 nations has been the humanitarian aid model does not work in international disaster response between us. And I think that's one of the lessons we've learned in the U.S. is we have got to move towards a mutual aid system that's not based upon we've had a total failure before help comes. It is we've identified key resources. As we continue to see more disasters, more complexity in disasters, it's increasingly apparent no one nation can ever have all the resources that they're going to need for all the hazards. And being able to share and rapidly deploy resources across international boundaries will be one of the ways that we can mitigate what we continue to see is increasing numbers, frequency, but also the intensity of the disasters.
Yeah, but I think that international mutual aid is a brilliant idea. And I visited Australia a while ago, and they already advanced. So I believe they're going to be the great resource for the Cascadia, I think. Then, another thing that I'm sure your whole of community initiative
Yes.
led this whole teamwork in the United States too. This, I think this American emergency manager knows teamwork very well. It's very impressive. So,
yeah, the thing is we tend to look at government as the solution in a crisis. And the bigger the disaster, the more likely government is not enough, nor can it get there fast enough. In the United States, we did what I call government-centric planning. We didn't really incorporate where a lot of the resources were, like in the private sector. And as we saw for 3/11 in Japan, again, much of the country's resources were actually in the private sector. And the impacts that had in being able to coordinate that. So we look at the private sector. We've always looked at our volunteer organizations like Red Cross and Salvation Armies and others as key players. But increasingly what came out of FEMA and the idea of whole community is the fastest responder in almost any disaster is a bystander or a neighbor. And we weren't really engaging them. And if you go back to 3/11, you go back to the U.S. disasters, most of the rescues were actually done by family members, bystanders, and neighbors. You've heard the stories about how tragic decisions had to be made about not being able to save loved ones. But the other reality was those that were saved were often by the person next to them. And the bigger the disaster, the more we have to realize that the public's a resource, not a liability, and re-engage the public as part of the solution. It isn't about we're abandoning them, but in too many circumstances, I think we've always looked at a government-based solution and not looked at the fastest response literally in most any disaster I've seen. There's been a bystander, a neighbor, or a family member that's been willing to act. I think with guidance and training, we can actually improve outcomes of disasters.
So now let's talk about Olympics. Tokyo hosted the Olympics in 1964, but the environment is totally different from 50 years ago. So our hazard threats and the nature type of disasters are not the same. And the question is whether community fundamentals catch up those changes enough or not. If not, how can we overcome the vulnerability with our system? US employs all hazard approach, which enable you to expect unexpected and eliminates the vulnerabilities as much as you can. Today, the vulnerability of our major cities are getting more complicated, and I guess the agencies face the boundary challenges under the all-hazard approach. Ellis, you have 3 Olympics experiences, and you know what it is. So do you believe the all-hazard approach or incident command system is the best system to deliver Olympics safely?
Okay, first of all, Maki, let me thank you and the Stimson Center for having this dialogue. Part of what's going to change the culture of emergency management is having dialogue, establishing relationships amongst the different countries, amongst the different organizations. And until that happened, these tools that we use, whether we call them all hazards, whether we call them ICS, that's not going to make any difference if you haven't made that connection and had those relationships. One of the things that happened when I was in California, we developed something called the Standardized Emergency Management System. Great system, but it didn't come out of people sitting around tables saying we need a system. It came out of a major disaster that actually burned down a senator's house. And out of that came new legislation. Now, I'm not suggesting that for good legislation you burn down your elected representative's house. But the same thing, now you've created a champion. What's happened in Japan is you have another champion with Senator Mori because she was impacted in that area, and now she's leading the charge to help change the culture. Now, these tools that we use, all hazards, well, Japan since the 50s have had a lot of disasters, earthquakes, one of the highest seismic zones in the world. They've had a lot. Earthquakes don't just shake. You may have gas explosions, you may have tsunamis, you may have nuclear power plants, you may have a lot of things. So your earthquake plan has to take in place those cascading events that's going to result as a matter of that. Your first responder typically doesn't care how that building got down, whether it was blown up by a terrorist, whether it was felled by an earthquake, whether it was felled by a typhoon. They need those skill sets to know how to get in there and do urban search and rescue and help get those people out, have the requisite equipment that can be used for multiple incidents. So in the planning phases, that's why all hazard is good. Yes, it would be ridiculous not to have an earthquake plan. It would be ridiculous not to have a fixed nuclear facility plan. It would be ridiculous not to have a typhoon plan. But at the same time, we have to recognize that these are tools to get us started to look at the unique elements of those particular plans. Now, when we talk about ICS in the United States, Incident Command System, again, it's a tool. Now, the question you ask is, should you switch from this to that for the Olympics? My answer, I suggest to you, that you probably don't have the time to do that now. You got an Olympics that has to be put on in 2 years. When I was looking at legislation in Japan, I think 2004 was the last significant piece of disaster management legislation I saw. So what I suggest can be done now is look at those plans, make sure those plans are updated, but more importantly, exercise those plans. Can we actually do what we say we can do? Now, don't exercise them the way we do them here in the United States. Exercise the plans to the point of failure. You want that exercise to show gaps, not how good you are. You want it to show gaps. You want to find out what's missing. What do I have to go back to Senator Mori and say, we need more training in this, we need more equipment like this, we need this, we need that, we need to plug in the private sector, we need to, as she was just sharing with us, we need to tap in research folks to come to the table to help us be better prepared. So it's not an either or. It's how do we take the systems that we have in place in 2 years and establish relationships. I'm sure you all will have some folks in South Korea for the Winter Games. I'm hoping you will invite folks from LA has the 2028 games. I hope they can come out and see what's taking place. But that relationship as far as tools is right now, use what you have that's been successful and exercise it. And if you find those gaps, now you do have time to complete that process of getting people up to speed and making sure that you've closed the gaps. And partner, bring in other folks. I like the idea that you started off with, Maki, about how can we be better international collaborators. Let's start that process and see if you can't do that.
Yeah, I understand the time to develop training exercise is critical, and we don't have enough time to develop this for the Tokyo Olympic, right? At this moment, as I understand it. But also, like U.S. history shows, the even at the informal level, then ICS would be helpful.
Yes,
useful.
ICS we use it here in the United States simply because it works.
Yeah.
It's a system whereby we can have a process for responding to a disaster, and as we bring in additional resources, whether those resources are other services or whether it's private sector or even politicians coming out to the scene, we have a mechanism and a process, a tool that's worked effectively here in the United States for a long time.
Yeah, so I know some community in Japan try ICS already, and I would like to say, don't give up. So there's even partial application will be helpful and useful.
Right.
So
and I do think there's elements that can be utilized. You have a very strong top-down system in Japan. United States, bottom up, top down. Bottom up, top down, bottom up. Because as Administrator Fugate, former Administrator Fugate said, all disasters are local here. Disasters happen to the people in the streets, and then the system starts working. And through emergency management assistance compacts, a great example to do an international assistance compact, you start pulling in those things that you need to respond effectively. And ICS is that tool that can make sure that you don't create gaps, and as importantly, you don't create duplication.
So I would like to discuss about the emerging new type of risk now. In a major city, there are many foreign people already. So nowadays, tourists should care about emergency management, I think. So the other day, a famous American YouTuber harassed the people and got trouble in Tokyo. Then he did it as his job, and he's making money by posting crazy video like that. But the real problem is not him. The thousands of people like him are coming to Tokyo Olympics to capture the standard moment, and everywhere, the multiple locations. And of course, the terrorism can be branded in those people. And even the harassment itself can be a hazard as well. So, Craig, do you think all hazard emergency management or incident command system will be helpful for this type of crowd control? If you could share with us any good idea to respond to this type of dangerous but not illegal behavior, it would be appreciated.
Yeah, that's always the challenge. We call it the National Incident Management System, which Incident Command is part of that. We've managed presidential inaugurations. We managed the Pope's visit. We managed large sporting events, Olympics, the Super Bowl. And it's always the balance between providing security and safety, but also we have almost an equal, if not higher, responsibility to provide for peaceful demonstration. Freedom of speech is one of our constitutionally protected rights. So it's that balance between maintaining security and safety, but allowing peaceful demonstration. And yes, people will exploit that, and what is easy to secure sometimes does not provide for freedom of speech. And I think that's one of the challenges that we'll have in the Olympics. And think back to the last Olympics. We didn't have personal drones. You didn't have the social media phenomenons. And you did not have the world environment that we are seeing now. Terrorism has been around, but it has changed dramatically since the last Olympic. And the types of threats continue. And I think, as Ellis was pointing out, the incident command system, we throw that out like everybody should know what it means. But it's really something that a lot of people, if you talk about what it does, they understand. It's management by objectives. Everybody knows what the mission is. They know what their role in that is. And there's a feedback loop. And I think that's going to be the key thing to manage over multiple venues across a very large population with lots of tourists and agitators. Using something where all of the different agencies and ministries, each level of government, the Olympic Committee, and all the venues, they know what the mission is. They know what the focus will be on security and safety. They know they're going to have demonstrations. They know they're going to have people that will be seeking this out. And they have the communication and feedback loops to manage that. It doesn't mean things don't go wrong, but it means that you have a system to rapidly adapt and respond to that changing situation. I think Ellis will tell you through his 3 Olympics, he actually had the terrorist attack in the Atlantic Olympics in 1996. And as much as you plan for it, it's hard to say you always stop it. But having an effective response was the key. And it was going back to everybody knew what the mission was. Everybody knew what their roles and responsibilities was. There was a communication system. And when it happened, the response wasn't just created. It was built upon exercises and training. And I think that is how you have to approach this. As we continue to see evolving social media actors, as we continue to see the ability now to use even increasingly high tech with high consequence events, the use of drones. All of these will give the security folks major challenges. But at the same time, we also have to protect our freedoms and not give up our freedoms in the name of total security. That's always the challenge. You can be totally secure and nobody enjoys the Olympics. Or we have security that's adapted to our threats, but continues to allow for the primary mission here is a safe Olympics, not just a safe environment.
Mm-hmm. And Maki, if I could add one point, Craig made a point earlier about public-private partnerships. And we usually throw that word around when we think everybody understands what it means. But public-private partnership in action is when you have an Olympics or you're having a convention, you have tapped into every building in your city, and their security force becomes your security force. Their cameras become your cameras. And you have to do this up front. You don't just go in and take it over. You bring them in, you sit down, you tell them what the objectives are, and this is how we can best support one another. So instead of having 10,000 cops now, you've got 90,000 security folks because you've got the private sector that's feeding into that process. So that's an ongoing working relationship to get the public and the private part of that process of planning and preparing.
Okay, so at the Pope's visit in 2015, so you applied a special events contingency planning for public safety agency.
Yep.
Would you tell us about it a bit?
Yeah, one of the things we did at FEMA was we were seeing so much of almost we would start from scratch when we started planning for the events. We actually developed a course. It's an online. You can go to FEMA.gov and look up. It's an online course to actually teach local officials and public safeties how to do mass gatherings and large events. Many characteristics, and again, a lot of this was lessons we learned as Ellis went through these Olympics, as we've gone through numerous Super Bowls. And it is, again, taking those lessons learned to prepare for the obvious security issues, but also issues like crowd control. Bathrooms. You know, when you bring large numbers of people together, you got to have bathrooms. You have to have toilets. Those kind of planning scenarios that you just don't always think about, of all the things you need to do. How to create safe areas if you're going to have demonstrations. How do you set that up in a way that allows the peaceful demonstrations, yet doesn't compromise your security? But just numerous lessons. And FEMA created the course, and it was, again, to take these lessons learned and provide them to public safety agencies. And it's a free course. You can go online, you can look it up. But it was really designed to take these lessons learned. And we use this term lesson learned, and I said, well, too often it was lessons observed. Whoever did it learned it. The next person learned it all over again. So we were trying to provide, move from lessons observed to actually take those lessons, put it back into training for people to actually have, to use to start the process of planning for mass gatherings.
So, Senator, Japan doesn't have oil hazard approach yet in the ICS yet. So would you mind to share with us the current Japan's plan for Olympics?
今ですね、東京オリンピックに関しては、世界最大の平和の祭典ということで、それを実現すべく、政府で最大限の準備をしております。閣僚級のオリンピック対策本部を作りまして、すみません、これでないといけないですね。失礼いたします。これでは。
There you go.
OK? すいません、それでは最初からお話をしますね。東京オリンピックに対してはですね、世界最大の平和の祭典でありますから、これを実現できるようにですね、今、日本政府で最大限に準備をしております。大丈夫でしょうか。皆さんのところに通訳が行っておりますか。OK? そうですね。それで、まず閣僚級の対策本部を作りまして、関係閣僚についてやっております。その下にですね、官僚による事務的なオリンピック対策本部を作りまして、特に危機管理やテロ対策、その安全面についてはですね、情報の収集、そして情報を共有し、そしてその情報をですね、活用して調整をして対策をしていくセンターをですね、情報収集センター、それから情報対策センターというふうに2つその下に作りまして、やっております。今ですね、両方がおっしゃったように、世界の過去のオリンピックやさまざまな国際大会の教訓に学ぶということで、そちらの方の情報を収集もしながら、その世界の教訓をシェアして、訓練もしています。実際私が今安倍政権の下で与党であります自民党の中のテロ対策の調査会長もこれで4年務めておりまして、その間には伊勢志摩サミットというのを行いました。この伊勢志摩サミットについてもG8 の各国のトップが日本に来るわけでございますから、そこもテロの標的になることが非常に予測されましたし、それから伊勢志摩サミット自体がですね、大きな祭典でございますので、いろいろなところから観光またはそれを見に来る方が大勢いらっしゃいました。それに対して全ての万全な対策を取りまして、空港の水際対策、それから事前の情報を入手する、これがテロ対策で非常に大切ですけれども、それによってですね、シャットアウトをしていく、またはその中に入ってきてしまった場合にどうやってそれをですね対策していくかということも、空港でもし事件が起きた場合、それから海上で事件が起きた場合、どのような事件も車で来るような場合、それから銃撃をされるような場合、ホテルからホテルに崖を隔てて銃撃をされるような場合、または海上の中で近距離のテロが起こった場合、さまざまなことを想定して、だいぶ前からですね訓練を行いました。雨の日の場合の訓練、風の日の場合の訓練、すべての訓練を行いました。特に伊勢志摩サミットというのは湾がございますので、その水の上から海の方からですねテロが来るということも考えられますが、そういったあらゆることを訓練した結果ですね、一つのテロも起きない、一つの軽犯罪の逮捕者も出なかったということです。ですから東京オリンピックに対してもまだ私がテロ対策会長でございますので、今対策を練っておるところでございますが、あらゆることを想定して訓練をしていくということです。その中で大事なのは、今もお話に出ましたけれども、政府ができることは限界がございますので、政府だけでなくその開催地の東京都、そして祭典が行われます地方で、福島県でも野球のオリンピックの競技が行われます。さまざまな地方自治体、そして民間の企業、そして市民の皆様、すべての協力が必要です。特にその市民レベル、国民レベルのですね、やはり危機感、危機対策ということに対しては国民を巻き込んだ、教育的な啓蒙ということで今力を入れているところでございます。ではインシデントコマンドシステム、それからオールハザードが採用されてないというご指摘でございますが、 日本のシステム、それに類似するようなところも個々ございますので、それらをよく活用し、そして海外の良いところも導入しながらですね、国際連携をとって、しっかりと対策をしていきたいと思っているところです。
So, Senator, you experienced much even in your hometown, Fukushima, and realized the importance of that all hazard approach as well. And would you tell us the current all hazard project you lead in Japan?
オールハザードでありますとか、複合災害ですね。それぞれの、個々的な災害についてはそれぞれの機関が対応するということで、常に予測もしてますし訓練もしています。地震には地震、原発事故には原発事故、北朝鮮からのミサイルについてはミサイル対策というふうにされていますが、それがいっぺんに起きた場合、頻繁にそれが緊密な時間で起きた場合、ということが起きるわけです。その時に一体誰がそれをリーダーシップを取って対応していくのかということについては、福島の複合災害の時のですね、混乱、被害というものを経て、私たちが大きな教訓を得たわけでございます。それに対して私たちは法律も変えましたし、それから今お示ししたような災害訓練施設も作って、あらゆる機関が協力してやるということについて今進めております。
So the innovation course going to be some hub for everybody in Japan.
そうですね。イノベーションコースト構想といって、福島県の津波被害が起きたそのコースト、海岸通り、そこがですね津波で大勢の家が流されてしまったわけでございます。また原発事故によって放射能をかぶってしまったわけでございますが、そこを全部除染して放射能の汚染物質は取ったんですが、その跡地にですね、失われた地域だからこそ新しいものを作ろうということで、新しい災害訓練施設や新しい国際機関、そして新しい企業を誘致して、そこで、これから世界中で起きるかもしれない複合災害についてのですね、いろんな研究や訓練、そういったものを作る。その中でですね、イノベーションが起きて、新しい技術や発見がある、そのことを私たちは目指しています。そのことによって、福島県、被災地は国際的に助けてもらったことの恩返しをですね、そのことによって、イノベーションコースト構想によって、恩返しをしていきたいと思っているところです。世界に貢献していきたいと思っているところです。
I hope US and Japan can collaborate to create a more effective and efficient program and exchange the knowledge and lessons each other. So in the ending, Ellis, would you tell us the international collaboration scope in the future, not only the US and Japan, but also other countries as well as IEM effort?
Okay. What we're looking at from an International Association for Emergency Managers is having a more resilient world, period. That's kind of simple, I believe. But to do that, we have to discuss what's going on. We have to share lessons learned. We do, I think, a poor job in the United States on doing after-action reports. Our after-action reports are kind of pat on back on how great we were. When the best after-action report is, what did we learn? Where did we find that we have gaps and we need to close it? I hope I didn't lead you to believe that ICS can't be done in Japan now. It can be. I think it would be more effective right now from a bottom up. What we're trying to do is get to the emergency managers, boots on the ground, where the disasters occur, get them trained so that when they have disasters, as resources come in from outside, that mechanism is in place. That's what Tokyo can start doing now, I believe. And with strong leadership from the national level, I think plenty of time to look at the training, look at doing the exercises, look at updating the plans, et cetera. So on a global perspective, we want to be able to create, as you were talking with Craig about, how do we create these collaborative efforts so that when we have disasters, our recovery efforts can be seamless. And this is not politics. This is just response. How do we create a seamless mechanism to get resources into a country that people can utilize? It's not just an aspirin. If you got 10 countries putting in 10 different aspirins, you got 10 different languages you got to translate them into. So how do we develop a system, whether it's color-coded or whatever? You do that by having that collaboration, having a sit-down, and making it a process that will work in a seamless manner.
Thank you very much. So now let's have a Q&A.
Thank you very much for all this. My name is Elizabeth Bierman-Delancey from the State Department. I was hoping, Mr. Fugate, you might elaborate a little bit on your earlier statement that for international disaster response, the humanitarian aid system doesn't work. I definitely take your point that no one country has all the resources, but I'm curious how you see the role of the multilateral organizations that...
Well, let's talk about our system right now. For FEMA to get federal from international assistance, we have to notify the State Department. State Department then has to notify ambassadors. The ambassadors would put out a country call that the U.S. needs resources. Then it would come back up to the State Department. Then it would come back to FEMA. We have a process, actually an MOU with State Department. This process takes several days and is totally useless. I know where the international search and rescue teams that meet Interact or currently act. I need dispatchable resources. When I'm FEMA administrator, I don't need to be going through 3 days of negotiations. I need country clearance. I need to know how I'm going to provide indemnity to medical personnel coming across. That does not work under the current aid model. These need to be bilaterals or others that are set up to where we know where the resources are. This is not a broadcast and send help. This is, you've got specific resources in specific countries. Why can I not have that pre-negotiated so that it is dispatchable? And I'll tell you what I was doing before I left, and we were working with State Department on this, and we had gotten a lot of these issues resolved. But I was working with my counterpart in Australia. And we said, if we had a triggering event at Cascadia where we knew we were going to make the request to the teams, the FEMA Operations Center would notify his Operations Center that the event had occurred and the request was coming. So as his foreign affairs folks would be meeting with our ambassador, as it was coming from State Department, they would already be sending it up. What I wanted was his team's wheels up in 12 hours. That's doable. We actually exercised that. They've sent their observers over. We've worked with numerous of those teams, and it was the idea that the traditional, I broadcast, I need help, isn't working. I need to be more specific. That means I have to look at where my shortfalls are in my catastrophic plans and go, what nations most realistically can provide that resource? And then move this from the first time I ask is the first time they know I may ever need it. And I think that's the difference between the humanitarian model. We never know until we have the next humanitarian crisis, although we know the area is most likely. But in an international response, we know what our hazards are, we know what our vulnerabilities are, and we generally know at what point we would have to ask for assistance. Why can't we not now progress to the point of who would we be asking and what priority, and go ahead and work out those arrangements so that, just like we have under the Emergency Management Assistance Compact, it is what we call dispatchable assets. It's a very short time frame to ask and get resources moving. The current system takes too long.
Hi there, my name's Jessica London. I'm from Georgetown's grad program on emergency and disaster management. Thanks so much for hosting this. It was a real honor to hear you guys talk. I have a two-part question about the use of virtual reality in emergency management. So the first part is, I know that the senator mentioned actually using it in a nuclear sense. I was wondering if virtual reality is being employed at all during the Olympic planning and emergency management in that. As the second part is if virtual reality is being used in the U.S. emergency management and where we see the future of that.
If you want me to start, in 1996, your virtual reality was cell phones. I was dragging around a bag phone during the Olympics in 1996. Wasn't that long ago, but it seemed like eons ago with the things we have now. Once I moved to California, we were using some virtual reality for training, quote, some military training tools that had been converted for emergency management use. And we would use that to bring our first responders to the table to do training and exercises and things like that. What you saw here is eons beyond that. And I retired from LA in 2007, so we're talking about 10 years. And in the IT, in the technology world, that's eons. So I can see advantages in having that tool there, but it's, at the same time, being aware of how to implement it. Right after 9/11, I got my first responders together. We brought in robotics because they used them in 9/11, and it was going to be a new tool. And although we couldn't afford to buy robotics, it was important that folks recognize what the capabilities were and had some sense of when to ask for them and things like that. So I can see that robotics or the robotics and the virtual reality can be some tremendous tools.
Greg, do you have any?
Yeah, like with most new toys that come along, we still have to figure out what we would do differently. Virtual reality still doesn't stop bleeding.
Yeah.
So it is, how do we get quicker to the decisions we need to make and get the resources where we need to get them to change the outcome? This kind of trickles into all of the technologies. One of in dealing with Fukushima, one of the advances of virtual reality is by being able to use remote sensing and create the environment, and then be able to create a virtual world to try scenarios and test things that you could not do in the actual reactor. Those kind of applications have really taken off. You're seeing this in surgery, in other words, a very specific application where we can test different things in a way that minimizes risk in a virtual environment before we move it back into the real world. But I also think that there's this tendency to think it can solve all problems. And again, a virtual reality does not stop bleeding. There has to be something actually happens. But a virtual world allows us to test things in ways we've not been able to before. New techniques, new practices, and particularly with the reactors. These are very complex environments that a lot of our understanding of how systems work really need to be tested, because we're finding that, going back to 3 Mile Island, what we thought was going on in a reactor, the equipment and sensors we set in were getting taken out by the radiation. And again, this ability to build a virtual environment to simulate what's there gives us tremendous opportunity and a non-destructive way to test things before we make the decision, what's our next steps and how we go ahead. And again, think about 30 to 40 years to decommission a reactor. The reason we can't go fast is the radiation levels are so lethal. And most of the techniques will have to actually be developed for it. Using virtual means we can test at relatively low cost a variety of things before we decide which one will most likely work best in that environment before we do the actual event.
Any other questions?
Hello, Patrick McLaughlin from Rand Corporation. Just a question about the use of the drones that was discussed. With the environment with Fukushima, were people isolated in a way that resources were more limited and restricted for delivering food items and more disposable items to people in these sort of situation? And were the drones actually utilized during the emergency, or were they sort of an after the fact sort of development? And furthering that question, there's a similar situation with Puerto Rico and reaching austere situations where people would need resources. And has, to your knowledge, either of you heard of FEMA developing these technologies yet, or discussing that? Thanks.
はい、福島の事故の時にはドローンは活用されませんでした。2011年でございますので、その後ですね、ドローンが出てきたのは、ですから今はドローンを新しく開発して、災害に役立てようとしているということです。
れはなんか災害の時にその孤立した人たちに届けるっていう
そうです。災害の時に孤立した人に届けることもは一つの例でございますけれども、さまざまなことに活用できると思います。先ほどのバーチャルリアリティもそうですけれども、福島県の廃炉を実現するためにさまざまな科学技術がを使っています。バーチャルリアリティ、ドローン、ロボット、AI、自動運転、これらの技術は廃炉のために今開発していますが、それを災害対策に応用することが、本当に簡単に応用することができると思います。例えばこの間ですね、私が治安テロ調査会長としてテロ対策の訓練をしました。日本で一番歴史的、史上最大の訓練をしました。複合災害が起きたという訓練で東京でやりました。一つ大きな劇場で薬物がまかれた。そしてみんな気持ち悪くなった。そこにマスクをしたですね、隊列が突入していって薬物を回収し人々を助けるんですが、それと同時に庭の方では爆発物が置かれていることが発見されまして、その爆発物を回収しなければいけません。ということで、すべての日本にいる危機対応の部隊をいっぺんに出動させて訓練しました。消防、警察、公安、自衛隊、医師会の訓練ってすべてのそれぞれの部隊はそれぞれ自分のところで訓練してるんですけど、それをいっぺんにしました。その中でロボットも使いましたし、ドローンも使ったんです。爆発物の撤去には人間が近づけませんので、ロボットが行ってどんな爆発物かを調べて、そしてそれを撤去するということもしました。それから薬物のどんな薬物かということをチェックするためにもロボットを使いました。そういう災害対策のためにですね、福島で今廃炉のために研究をされている科学技術が役に立つだろうというふうに考えています。
Craig, could you tell us about the Puerto Rico one?
Yeah, I'm always fascinated how everybody gets all wrapped up around a drone suddenly changing everything. It's just replacing people. We were using Civil Air Patrol with cameras. I mean, you think about what we're going to talk about with, you're going to do two things, remote sensing and delivery of supplies. As the senator pointed out, drones make a lot of sense when there is a high risk of entering an environment where drones reduce the exposure, particularly in hazardous materials, nuclear, other things where the remote sensing there. And then the other factor is just the size and cost being able to get in the area. But when you talk about delivering supplies, everybody thinks drones are the answer. I'm like, well, what's wrong with a helicopter? Even the military, as they're going to drones, it's a workforce issue. And also being able to deliver in high hazard area, reducing the exposure to personnel by going and essentially taking helicopters and making them drones by just putting in remote control. I think probably with drones in emergency management, it's going to be what I call micro deliveries and really looking at what the private sector is doing. Where it doesn't make sense or it's not practical to get helicopters in the area, but I'm having to deliver something very specific like I need to get a satellite radio into an area that is inaccessible, and I don't want to tie up a helicopter or it's not practical to get a helicopter. That makes sense. If you're thinking about you're going to be delivering large supplies, even that's not practical using large helicopters. So I think it's always, what does the drone do best? It replaces people. So it replaces people when there's a hazard. That makes sense with remote sensing. It can replace people and equipment when it's small packages or small deliveries. But I'm not so certain that it is going to solve all the problems. And I'm not sure what FEMA is doing, but I know that if you looked at what happened in Maria, but not much different than we've seen in a lot of our scenarios where you have remote areas that the roads are out, it's hard to get in. And in many cases, the first thing that I lack is any communication. Using drones to get in small comm packages would probably make sense, given just the number of areas you had to get to, and even if you were using helicopters, it's just hard to get everywhere. And if you go back to 3/11 in Japan, everybody focuses in the U.S. about the nuclear power plant. That's not what killed people. The tsunami killed people, and the damages were over large areas, that roads were totally wiped out, and there was no physical way to get to those areas except by air. And I think, again, those types of scenarios, the larger populations, you're going to need large aviation assets. But even in smaller pockets where it was like just getting in some medications or just getting in some communication, I think drones will be an adjunct to that process.
Okay, any other questions?
Hi, I'm Jiwon from Stimson, and I'm very impressed by all four speakers. And I have one question that there might be some situations that the national decision from the government is not identical to public opinion in the moment of emergency. So in these kind of situations, do you have any idea about what to do? Because I think the government decision is very worthwhile because it is based on professional analysis, but also the public opinion is not. It's very important too. So I want to listen to your opinion. Thank you.
Correct. You know.
We saw this with 311, and that was even for the United States, in trying to determine what protective measures we needed to give U.S. citizens. We didn't always have the full picture. And I think it's just a natural tendency for government. Disasters move fast, decisions are being made. It's hard to keep the public fully informed. And I think this is our lessons we've learned is you need transparency. If the public begins to doubt or begins to think you're not telling them everything, they will start seeking information from other locations. I think the public is much more tolerant of what we do if they know why we're doing it in a way that is giving them all the information. So yes, there will be times when we have to make decisions that some people may not agree with. And if those voices are loud enough, it may give the impression that's what everybody's thinking. But I think the thing that I've learned time and time again from disasters, and this goes back to our 3 Mile Island, when the public hears different answers from officials about the same issue, we lose credibility. When the public finds out we withheld information, we lose credibility. And the tendency for government officials to think we have to control the information is an illusion. We don't control information. It always gets out. And if we want to ensure that the public responds the best possible way, they need the information to make informed decisions. So my lesson is be totally transparent, be totally upfront. There are no secrets in a disaster. They will always get out. And yes, people may not like what we want them to do or what they may need to do, but they need to know why we're telling them that's what we have to do.
I would use the example, too, of Chile and the earthquake that occurred actually 6 months after Haiti earthquake. It was a much larger earthquake than Haiti, but they had very little death and very little damage. And part of their resilience came from a culture of resilience. Anybody that lived in the area that had the tsunami, no one died, because their culture said, if you shake hard enough to knock you off your feet, you go to higher ground. The government put out a warning. It first didn't work, and then it was incorrect. But they lost nobody that lived in that area because their culture says, if it shakes hard enough to knock you off your feet, go to higher ground. And also, they all had a compulsory military training. Even though they didn't consider that as emergency management training, they had training. Hospitals were evacuated in 15 minutes. The signal was the earthquake. Those that could walk got out. Those that couldn't, those helped them out. In the United States, it would have taken us 15 hours to get the attorneys out of the hospital on whether you're going to evacuate or not. But it was a cultural shift. So the culture has, the point is, empower your citizens to understand what their roles and responsibilities are in a disaster so they know where they are. And a lot of times we may, I can't imagine any place that would ever get a warning that we're having a nuclear attack and it's not happening. Can you all? Yeah, same thing with what happened in Hawaii this weekend. And now the opportunity here is how do you use that as a teachable moment? And as Craig indicates, that bond of providing some kind of assurance, recognition that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, you do that by building a resilient population.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is John Cobb. I'm with DHS. My question is about the lessons learned that you discussed. How does lessons learned, whether you go from Sandy to Andrew to 3/11 to the tsunami in Bangladesh, that all these seem like local emergencies, but how do you get the lessons learned throughout the country and throughout the international areas?
That's the challenge. That's why I think we found that the lessons we learn tend to be lessons learned by individuals, and when they move up or move out, we lose it. Part of this is changing and building into our training and education the lessons. And it's again, I've basically boiled it down to the 7 deadly sins of emergency management. There's natural tendencies that keep us from taking these lessons observed and making them lessons learned. It is the natural tendency. Very few organizations ever want to exercise what can really happen. They want to exercise what they're capable of managing. And the natural tendency not to push systems and build these as lessons observed into lessons learned is we don't change our training, we don't change our exercising. Part of FEMA's role is to incorporate these into training. And I think we did a better job of making the courses less static and more adaptive. But it is still a challenge to go, what is a unique event to this one event that really doesn't factor into future events, and what was an actual lesson we need to change what we're doing? And this really comes back to the bottom line. A lesson learned means we're going to change what we've been doing. Bureaucracies have a lot of inertia. They hate change. They like stability. They don't want to change. So it's that forcing mechanism of how do you take that lesson learned and change what you're doing. Because if you do nothing different, you'll get the same outcome. And that doesn't, what we found is it works. The problem is people like me and Ellis have made a lot of mistakes to learn those lessons. Then when we moved on, a whole new generation makes the same mistakes over again.
I've done
how do you change that?
Yeah. I've done about 7 political conventions. Doesn't matter the variety, but there were 7 different political conventions. Each one, they put $50 million up to put those conventions on. They put not one dime up to do a comprehensive after-action report. So that as I did this first one, if you're going to do the next one, I'll have this after-action report that I can pass on to the next person, and then they pass it on to the next person. And, your best after-action reports start when the event begins, because you want people there observing. You want people there seeing what's going on. And those are the things that are not funded. The response, the planning, the preparedness, and response is covered. But to be able to glean those successful happenings out of that particular event so the next person does not have to reinvent the wheel. We treat every political convention like it's the first time we've ever done one. Now, does changes take place? Absolutely. Having it on the coast during hurricane season is a different phenomenon than having it in Colorado during the summer, a different phenomenon. But there are common things in those approaches that can be successful if you pass them on.
はい、どうやってその遠くの地に、起きた災害の教訓を共有していくかっていうご質問ですけど、この間 IAEM の総会に出て、その答えを見出したような気がします。IAEM はエマージェンシーマネージャーの資格を持つ方が50カ国から集まっていて、私は日本で初めてその資格を取ったんですけども、それで51カ国になったわけですが、世界の51カ国のエマージェンシーマネージャーが一堂に集まって、さまざまな自分たちの 体験を述べていました。そこでお互いに学んでいました。それがまた自分たちの国や地域に戻って、それぞれのエマージェンシーマネージャーから地域の人々に落としていくことができれば、世界中の災害を皆さんが共有することができると思います。福島でも今度その災害訓練施設ができますので、そこに世界中のエマージェンシーマネージャーが IAM が集まって訓練をすることもできますし、その訓練を教訓にして世界中に教育の場にですね広めることができれば、子どもたちのうちからその災害の訓練意識を身につけることができると思います。そのようなふうにですね IAM が活躍していけたらいいなと思います。
Thank you all for staying with us for the 90 minutes. And I think most of all, I would like to thank Mori Sensei for travel such a far distance for this occasion, and also having an honorable Fugate. And Mr. Stanley, thank you so much also. You're both out-of-towners, so thank you so much for traveling all the way to Washington. This was a fascinating conversation. If you know what I usually write, this is an unusual topic to this event on. But I think it was just very important for me to broaden the aperture of the concept of national security and what Japan has to look forward to as it hosts the Olympics in just a few years. So if you can please join me in thanking for this wonderful speakers and also Maki for.